Chapter 9, Cultural Conflict. Wanyenyek vu placed everything back into his backpack and wanting for anything he could find a meal. Tired of fish, he grabbed a few stones and headed along the pond looking for the first thing he could find. After 30 minutes, he came across a rabbit. He paused for a moment to see if it spoke. A sigh of relief came over him. He washed and cleaned it. A Wanyenyek vu Saton a log, he took out a scroll, learning his ancestry, and every few minutes, he would turn the rabbit as the aromatic end into the air every time the wind blew. The cool breeze stirred upward within him, so he got up, reached for his notepad, and wrote, "The wind. You can taste it, nor smell it, but it's there. The wind. You can touch it, nor hear it, but it's here in the sphere. The wind. Where did it come from? Where is it going? What I don't know, it comfort in time of need, especially in the heat. The wind. That is something, or someone you want to meet. The wind reminds me of someone special to me. That I can see, but I know it is there. Can you guess who? Looking towards the sky, it's so blue. But the one I'm talking about is true. Clouds floating around with the rhythm, so true. Tossed about only by the wind. Trees leaning back and forth, side to side, leaves dancing around. Squirrel racing up and down, playing, in the wind. Wanyenyek vu smiled, placed everything in his backpack, ate his meal, and drifted off to sleep. The following day, Wanyenyek vu took the quick route through the woods and came upon an open field. Halfway through the field, he saw a skycraft pass. The vehicle did not make a sound as it passed, but he hoped they did not see him. He said, the only way he didn't see me was if he wasn't looking. Just as he said that, the vehicle made a U-turn toward him. What now? He said to himself. Wanyenyek vu stood there as the craft approached as it arrived. It hovered about 10 feet in front of him in the air. It slowly lowered to the ground, and seated on it was a very handsome man. Wanyenyek vu could not tell if it was a man or a woman at first. Hello. Wanyenyek vu hesitantly said. He heard Mnezi's voice. Now, see it with your spiritual eyes. The man quickly transformed into a Hindu creature. The creature's feet looked like talons with very long legs. The body and head were one giant blob with sore and blister that had pu seeping out. It made his flesh crawl, he couldn't believe his eyes. Wanyenyek vu got into a stance. What are you? The creature said, I am a Bunyan Omega 3:45, and you are a lucky man, for you shall be my slave, my pay for the rest of your life so I may feed of you as you worship me. Wanyenyek vu threw 3 stars toward his head, and they just went straight through the creature. He tried to strike the beast, taking out his samurai, but the sword went straight through it. The beast logged until Wanyenyek vu performed a powerful roundhouse kick that hit the monstrosity in the middle of its face, and the creature let out a howling sound. Several more punch, and then it backed up. In a state of shock, the creature pulled out a sword and swung at Wanyenyek vu. He dodged the blade as he continued to attack, but the creature just cried out in pain. Yael suddenly appeared and yelled out to Wanyenyek vu. Try this. A sword rushed toward Wanyenyek vu, and with great speed and timing, Wanyenyek vu punched the creature once more, then he turned around, just in time to grab the sword from Yael and cut the beast in half. The blade pierced through the flesh like pepper as Wanyenyek vu slid it from its head down to its leg. A puff of smoke appeared, and it covered Wanyenyek vu in black soot. Yael approached Wanyenyek vu. These are the bandits we have been training you for they are the fallen angels that follow Satan. Therefore, earthly weapon cannot harm them unity shielded by a special substance that the prophet Z shall provide. Wanyenyek vu had a strange look on his face. Prophet Z. But Yael and the sword both faded away. However, Yael's voice could be heard saying, yes, he will be along shortly. Go now, and make your way to Soneme, and by the way, if you hadn't foot in the spirit, it wouldn't have felt any of your blow. Wanyenyek vu hit the skycraft and continued his journey, passing par Road 1122 par Road 1106 until he reached Highway 65 and Sondeme Road. At a distance, Wanyenyek vu saw a man waving et approached a structure that looked like an old barn. Another test. He said to himself as the man approached. Wanyenyekevu noticed that the man had a unique dark olive brown skin tone and smiled at Wanyenyekevu. Good day, my friend, IAMIB, and welcome to Soneme. Wanyenyekevu smiled back and tried to see if the man that was genuine, but he could feel nothing. May I offer you a meal? Or maybe a place to rest a bit? Wanyenyekevu smiled again, sure. In the middle of town, there was a large canopy where many sat down and ate. Please sit down, and the millisson me. Don't worry about a thing, for we are Wakatilian and are always glad to see another brother. Wanyenyekevu took a seat and smiled at all those that looked this way. Ibe placed the meal before him, and they both ate and talked. Let me show you our community before you head off on your journey. Wanyenyekevu was full and did not want to be rude, so he smiled again, sure. Thanks. Whipping his moustache and pushing his plate in front of him, Wanyenyekevu grabbed his things, and they walked farte into town. I'm a single man, and he looked forward to the day he shall settle down and raise a family, and you. Before Wanyenyekevu could speak, two women approached in opposite direction, and Wanyenyekevu looked one of them in the eyes, nodded his head to say hello, and smiled. After the women had passed, the one in which he smiled grabbed Wanyenyekevu around the neck as she shocked him with a stun gun behind the right arm, then his back. She then tried to shock him in the groin area, but he moved, and it hit his upper thigh. The pain was so great that it knocked him to his knees. I looked up, men surrounded him. Wanyenyekevu looked at Ibe. What have you done wrong to be treated like this? Ibe stood there and did not say a word. The men rushed Wanyenyekevu against a nearby wall and held him down. What have you done wrong? Wanyenyekevu repeatedly asked, and the men said nothing. They took Wanyenyekevu's belongings and left them against the wall as they waited. After a while, a muscular man approached with a book in hand. He signaled, and they rushed Wanyenyekevu into a building, chaining his hand into a ring made of steel. Moment. Later, a tall man entered the room. Why are you here? Demanded the man. He was just walking through, and he saw Ibe. The man leaned against Wanyenyekevu with a metal object, causing him great pain. Ibe, the man interrupted. Ibe is a fool, and doesn't he know his left from his right? You have come for our women, haven't you? Wanyenyekevu said in a low voice. He only acknowledged the young lady's presence and smiled. That was it, it wasn't anything more than that. Bezid, are we not all Wakatilian? Even if he was, what would be the problem? Are we not all blood? Are we not kin? The man became furious, slapping Wanyenyekevu, and almost breaking his arms with the metal object, saying, We are a different breed than you. We can have your women do not procreate, but you and your kin are not worthy to touch the skin of our women. Let alone look into their eyes. Wanyenyekevu then became mad. Then there is no way, you are Wakatilian bufful. With your backward hypocrisy, you are only an enemy of your own people. You might as well be an Akata. Just then, the man yelled something Wanyenyekevu could not understand, and a small group of men came and threw Wanyenyekevu into the back of a makeshift vehicle. Laying their tea up, Wanyenyekevu looked up. All he could see were the trees and the sun to his east as the vehicle drove. The vehicle stopped after 20 minutes. Moment later, 4 men grabbed Wanyenyekevu, and they all walked toward a great waterfall. 5 more men met them. There were 4 men on each side and a man behind him. A Wanyenyekevu looked down, and measured it at least a 2,000 feet below. The men taunted Wanyenyekevu as they walked him near the edge. There was a metal pipe that separated them from the edge. One man said, Your death will be quick and painless, I logged. Wanyenyekevu resisted by pulling back with his leg as they pulled forward, saying, Now is the time of your death, and not mine. Wanyenyekevu anticipated their move. 11 men tried to push him over, and stopped resisting, grabbing the pipe while jumping towards the edge. Using their own force and gravity, they hurled themselves over the edge while hanging onto the metal railing as the men fell to their death. Wanyenyekevu quickly flipped over the pipe, killing the rest of the men while his hands were still bound. Wanyenyekevu took a seat on the ground, rubbing the bruise on his arms, trying to understand what had just happened. He dinked back, and noticed a sign, par RD1106 sont des Meloprod. Scratching his side, et mumble, he didn't see this sign. En style shackled and his mind perplexed until he walked upon a sign that said, Welcome to Sondeme, Louisiana. When Yenyekvu walked through the town, it looked as if no one had been there for many years. He reached the structure where they held him hostage, but it was abandoned and barely standing. He continued, seeing his backpack I bent down to get it. Mlezi and Yael appeared. Many will come and say that they are your brother or sister, but their hearts will be far from it. They shall deceive many with these lies. Taking, but never giving. Using you for profit but not caring for you at all. There will be many way they shall try to deceive about as children. This will be one of the many way. Remember this. Stay here for the night. A Kanfir instantly appeared with a hammock and food already prepared. Amlezi continued speaking. For you shall find rest and peace until you reach your last and final stop in Tallulah. Take your time and absorb the word and events that have happened today. Just be in Tallulah tomorrow before the sunset. When Yenyekvu held up his hand because they were still shackled, I held his hand up, they disappeared a well, but the breeze were still there. When Yenyekvu just stood in a daze while thinking about everything that had happened to him. Everything felt real, the word of the tall man bothered him so that he recalled the history of the betrayal during slavery and segregation, the injustice incurred during the civil rights movement, and even the Trump era. I wrote, black or white. Our blood is red, yet, we feel that we are greater than each other. We all die, took some of us think we're immortal. It's all because of the skin we in, that make us sin. Black or white? It doesn't matter. We all must live, we all will die. Anything other than that is just a lie. True, I love my own, but even this took time. Ashamed of my own youth. I was taught that, I boozed that. Believed that. But then he found the hard proof that he was of royalty. But back then, he just wanted to run and did. Because he was told another lie. They said he was a savage, a nigger, that he was a nobody. Then he found out, he was somebody. Not because of my skin, but because of the song. Black or white? Who is the greatest? None. But the song. When Yenyekvu released they had 24 hours to get to Tallulah, so he relaxed and got caught up on some reading. Taking out his Torah, he read the book of James, which was his favorite, and finished by reading a few passages from the book of Acts and Revelation. The sun began to set, so he gathered some wood for the fire and finished up the scroll Mlezi gave him. As his mind was racing again, he took out his notepad and wrote, after death. What should he expect after death? A parador a party? All that doesn't matter to me, what do you do with the eggshell, after you have gotten the egg? Samir, what I want to know is where my soul will go. That is more important to me, that is what I want to know. Often thinking about my life after death, it brings question without answer, will I be taken to heaven? Will I lift my eyes in hell? Even now, while I have life in this body, I often imagine death. When I'm taken from this world, to enter the next. I know there are many out there that don't believe in life after death. There are many out there that believe they will be reincarnated after death. The word tell me. After death, there is judge. I believe that everyone has a soul, after death, that soul needs somewhere to go, do me a favor, go out into the woods, or some place where it's nice and quiet. Look around, listen to the sounds. Now imagine, that you don't have a body, no feeling, not with the human touch, with your eyes, only travel into space, fly until you have seen all you want to see, now stop, look at the time, it's plain to see. You have traveled to eternity, a place without time. Now imagine, what will it be like? After death? Et wrote, Aimer Holy Ghost. What is this in my hand? That got me shaking like a leaf. What is this in my feet? That got me dancing like a crazy man? Feeling like David, he can't control the way he act. It feel like fire shut up in my bones, what is this speech that falls out of my mouth? My native language? Oh Lord, what is wrong? You got me speaking in tongue. Never thought he would feel this way, never thought he would act this way, until this wonderful day. They said he was a beast. They said he didn't have a soul. God has touched me, has made me whole. Who made everyone a liar. Yes, this love he have, the world didn't give it to me. It can't be taken away. I'm not trying to boast, I just need to tell somebody about this spirit. This man, named Aimé Holy Ghost. He wrote, Angels. We all know of the great fall. The one that took 1/3 of the angels, from that great place called heaven. Listening to the great de CV, because of him, we have no believer. When they fell, they were transformed from being of beauty, into beasts. Monsters, when seen with the naked eye. They look upon us and wonder, why? What are these beings, that they can choose between good and evil? Knowing where they will be going, unaware of the fact, they, too, had the same choice. They met there, a long time ago. So, in hell, they will lift up their eyes, without any surprise. Some here on earth, not all, are jealous too, and refused to let anyone else go up above. So, their job, in their minds, is to take as many of us as they can. They had a job that we can only imagine. They have made people we only dream of. They were not always demons, they were angels. He wrote, God is mighty. Hera had no grave, for he never existed. Zeus had no grave because he was the same way too. But God is mighty. Isis, Neptune, those who believed in them, were blinded by darkness. Molech, Baal, some still do worship. But God is mighty. Muhammad has a grave, and he is still there. Jésus had a grave, et est no longer there. Listen, where his body on slay, there's a sign that says, et has risen. God is mighty. No longer is there a reason to fear death. Life is now everlasting through him. To the only one who had a grave but now is missing. Some say they took his body, but to me, that is just folly. Because God is mighty. Finally, he wrote, religion. The Holy Ghost is my guide, he guide my at when he stray, he touch me when he pray. He is on my mind all the time. When I'm asleep, even when he wake, however, religion is man-made. Meaning, they took the truth, and added things to it, to fit their own way. Their own need, and want. So, they can justify when they lie. When they steal. When they kill. But they have a surprise waiting for them on the day they die. A time went by, they called it law. Now, you can create a religion, just ask Congress to pass a bill. I'm going to be straightforward about this case. Please spread it to the human race. You see, religion is not my fault. ILL say again, it is man-made. Spirituality has no beginning, no end. That is why many who think in the flesh, find it hard to comprehend. Hard to believe. Everyone has his or her own direction, no two are the same. No debate, no hate. So, how can you say, he can't do this or that? He can't say this or that. When it's you, that can say and do eter this or that. Just say when you do this, it make you feel this way. When you say that, it make you feel that way. It make you feel good. Then he will agree. But not for me, can't you see? Stop trying to give me the blues, because it's you that is being untrue. Let me do the things that he do, if he disagree with that thing, it's me that does wrong. If he felt my conscience say, no, this is wrong. So, then he did sin. Against myself, against God. We choose our own dynasty. Or destiny. Individually. That is why the people in the world were special. They knew for themselves, didn't pay attention to anyone else. Can't you see that is the key? To spirituality. Notre religion.